The summer heat was peaking in Nova Scotia as I packed my things and headed out on a journey through the wilds of Newfoundland. It wasn't a month-long expedition, and it wasn't something new and unexplored, but the majesty of the wilderness in the Long Range Mountains and the incredible views of Grose National Park afforded us the opportunity to make incredible memories in a place where every time you turn around or look up from the trail, you were surrounded by incredible views. At the time, it was difficult, more challenging than I could have even imagined. But I can proudly say that my body and my mind stood up to doing hard things better than ever before. Words, photos, and videos will never do justice to what is the Long Range Traverse. But this form of journaling my experience is a really fun way for me to be able to look back on the incredible memories and share them with you. I'm Nicola, and Alder is me sharing my passion with others. It's hiking, paddling, backwoods camping, playing in the forest, and having meaningful connections with nature. It's helping people learn new skills, as well as learning new skills myself, and helping people find confidence and independence in the backcountry. My family and I recently sold our home and moved further into the wilderness, with dreams of building a tiny home or off-grid cabin closer to nature. I am excited to share this adventure with you and all of my other outdoor adventures. I hope you enjoy all of the adventures we're about to have together. Day 1 of the Long Range Traverse in Grose National Park. We started this journey by taking a shuttle from where we would end our journey and where the truck was parked to Western Brook Pond, where the views were incredible and the water was clear, and excitement was eclipsed only by imposter syndrome and anxiety. I had no idea what I was in for on this hike. I had no idea how incredible it was going to be, nor did I know how incredibly difficult and challenging it would be. As we walked the kilometers that would take us to the boat that would ferry us across Western Brook Pond and up through the fjords where it would drop us off eventually, I couldn't shake the feeling that I didn't belong here, that it was bigger than me, and that I was somehow insufficient or out of my league. I was traveling with a group of experienced wilderness travelers. I don't know why it is that I doubt my abilities in these moments, but fear was getting the better of me. That was until we got on the water, and the views of the fjord as we traveled across Western Brook Pond melted all of that away because the beauty was all that mattered.
5 square kilometers or 30 miles away.
got you.
Well, as you can see, we do have a few hikers who
Once my boots hit the trail, I didn't have another thought about the anxieties that had plagued me previously. We were hiking, just like I had done 1,000 times before. I was comfortable with the amount of weight on my back, and I felt that the contents of my pack was as dialed in as I had ever accomplished. Our trail followed a brook up through the gorge. We crossed back and forth over the brook a number of times, and we also crossed over some areas which had clearly been impacted by rock slides at some point. You had to step carefully. Because some of the group had done this hike previously, I knew that there was a big climb coming up before we would get to the top of the fjord. This would be our biggest challenge today. For the most part, we were just hiking through the forest. It felt like home. But the closer we got, the more I realized how challenging it would be. We started to encounter some obstacles, although nothing like that climb. I didn't take any videos or even pictures until we got to the top of the fjord. It was difficult, but I have to say that I'm very proud of how well I did. My body and my mind have gotten really good at doing hard things. The remainder of the day, I honestly just felt overstimulated and overwhelmed by the beauty around us. And I was shocked to find out how much water would be up there on top of the mountains. There were lakes and brooks and ponds all over the place. When we finally got to the campsite we hoped to stay at, there were already occupants there, which we weren't surprised by. So we stayed close by on a beach just at the bottom of the hill near that campsite. We stayed on the beach where we figured we would make the least amount of impact. And our bodies were weary and ready for rest, so it was nice to set up camp and enjoy the view. Katie and I had put a lot of thought into what items we might be able to share, in turn sharing the load, which afforded us a little extra space and weight to be taken up in our packs by some luxury items, like chairs and books, which we enjoyed thoroughly over a cup of tea that evening. By the time we got to day 2, All of the wonder of day one left me almost desensitized to the beauty around us. Day two, I kept my head down, I watched my step in all of the mud, and I was not feeling great. I lagged behind a little bit, and I wondered, maybe that anxiety wasn't for naught. Maybe I couldn't do this. Why was my body so tired? I was thankful that our group was not there for a race. We were there to enjoy our surroundings and to take in all that this experience had to offer. So when we stopped for lunch, we really enjoyed ourselves and relaxed. When we found beautiful places or fun places to explore, we did just that. We explored. We made the most of all of our time there. And after a hearty lunch and a bit of a rest, and then a surprise waterfall, which provided the perfect place for a cool dip that shocked my body right back to restoration, I was ready to keep going for the rest of the afternoon. And I started to take the time again to look around and enjoy the view and the beauty and the surroundings. You can't lose sight of that. You can't lose sight of where you are and what you're experiencing. It's not the amount of footsteps or the speed in which you can do it. It's not the honor of being able to say that I did it. All of this, all of the work, all of the time, all of the planning, it was all for the experience, for the beauty, the memories. These are the things that last after. We set up our camp, and then we went for an impromptu jaunt up the hill. My shoes were wet from the day's travel through the muck. So for some crazy reason, I went barefoot up over the hill, and then I was lured further through the Tuckamore in my bare feet. But it was incredibly worth it, because over that hill was a view that would take your breath away. And I know that the video here will do it no justice, but we sat atop that hill and enjoyed the sunset. These are the moments from this trip that are seared into my memory. When you just sit in silence and common reverence for nature with an entire group of people who are doing the same. It's an experience like no other, and I am so grateful to say that I've had experiences like this a number of times in the wilderness. Although the waterfall dip earlier that day had restored my body, this restored my soul. Good morning, day 3. Good morning, long-range traverse. We were so blessed on this trip because other than a little smattering of sprinkles here and there, we had fantastic weather, beautiful sunny days. It wasn't too hot, but it was hot enough to enjoy the water and dips here and there when we got the chance. We were also incredibly lucky because for this hike, you have to do a course. In the course, you get a permit, which allows you to get off the boat at the end of the fjord and start this journey. And in that course, they told us horror stories about the flies up in the mountains. They also told us horror stories about the Tuckamore and about all of the challenges that would come. Although the Tuckamore was interesting and challenging, the bugs were not. We happened to be there in this perfect window of time where the bugs were completely manageable when they were even something we had to deal with at all. Of course, day 3 was filled with many more beautiful views. Everywhere you looked, It was just everywhere. On day 3, I also began to hit my stride. You have moments where you feel defeated and weak and like you've run out of fuel, and then other times you're just fed by the adventure. Although we kept a pretty good pace up there, we also definitely made time for important stops, making memories, and fun. I was still in such awe of the water up there, and the waterfalls were one of my favorite things. There weren't too many that I didn't at least stop and dip my toes in. The long-range traverse is about 35 kilometers. Not very long, but it takes about 3 to 4 days, according to Parks Canada. This is because it's difficult terrain. You're constantly climbing or descending, and there's not a real clear trail. For the most part, you're following game trails that connect you to the different waypoints along the traverse. You also have to consider the time it takes to appreciate such a beautiful place, to take in the views and truly appreciate your surroundings. Although the views everywhere were absolutely mind-blowing, there were a few showstoppers. Of course, the view that we took in while watching the sunset the night before felt really special because we had kind of gone off the beaten trail, and it felt like something we were experiencing that maybe other people had missed. The fjord of Western Brook Pond was really exciting because right off the bat we were seeing such incredible views. But I have to say that the view of 10 Mile Gulch probably was my favorite. It was later in the day when we arrived here. The sun was still high and very strong, and we decided to sit and eat our supper here to enjoy this view as long as possible. No matter how much experience adventuring, I'm always dealing with imposter syndrome. No matter how many skills I build or grow, no matter how many outdoorsy folks I meet and trip with, I'm always nervous when I start an adventure. We're all part of nature. We have varying degrees of knowledge, confidence, ability, and skill, but we all belong. The fear and anxiety, they're confirmation of growth. Match the degree of difficulty with your confidence and due diligence to ensure a safe adventure. Get out there. It doesn't matter if it's a month in remote Labrador, or a week in the mountains, or a day hike that tests your perseverance. The wilderness is the perfect setting for growth. We are all lifelong students. I will never stop learning and improving. Therefore, I've realized that I need to push past the anxiety and get comfortable with a little discomfort to do the hard things, because the rewards are numerous and immeasurable. As we were nearing the end of our last full day on the trail, we were excited because we would be camping near the base of Grose Morne mountain. And beyond exciting was when a cow moose walked right through our campsite. We had yet to see a moose on the trail, and this was such a gift. Newfoundland truly delivered on this one. Phew, morning of day 4 hit us right in the face, just like the tent slapping us across the face as it buckled in the wind. This might not be the best day for hiking up the mountain. We could also feel rain coming, so we packed down everything quickly and hit the trail. We met a father-daughter group who had started the trail the same time we did, and we leapfrogged with them the entire length of the trail, slept every night in a fairly close vicinity to them. We had enjoyed some really cool moments with them, like the moose in our campsite the night before, and we decided to just head on out without summiting the mountain and get waffles with them. We all agreed that was the best choice. The last 10 kilometers or so of the trail are groomed and maintained, but still very beautiful wilderness. We did it. I did it. I didn't get carried away by the bugs or swallowed up by the tuckamore, and we even had time to spare. 4 days on the long-range traverse, and the time it takes to travel from southwest Nova Scotia to Newfoundland gobbled up a lot of the time that we had allocated for this trip. But after completing the trail, we had 2 more nights that we could spend in Newfoundland. Because of the rain, we decided to get an authentic at a Parks Canada campground. We played tourist, visiting all the little shops and eating the food, the good food that we had craved while on the trail. Along the northern region of Western Brook Pond, there was another trail, and the beginning of it, the first 9 kilometers, would take you to something called Snug Harbor, a beautiful protected cove with sandy beach. We worked hard to get in there. Although there was no elevation in the part of it that we hiked, it was full of mud and muckamore, and it was a miserable rainy day. We set up camp in the rain and doubted that this was even a good idea. But as the evening went on, the weather cleared and we were given another beautiful gift. One last night and beautiful sunny day in Newfoundland. The hike out was so much more beautiful than the hike in. Although we were still tumbling through tuckamore and muck up to our knees sometimes, the day was beautiful and the views were incredible, but they had been draped in a misty fog the day before. I could think of no better way to end our time in Newfoundland than with a final meal at the canteen of the ferry of Western Brook Pond. We had a hot dog and a smoothie. It was perfect. Thank you for joining my adventures. I hope yours are just as memorable.
Sun will shine. Yeah, the sun will shine. The sun will shine. Yeah, the sun will shine. The sun will shine.